guys. Take it away.
This week we went with top 10 best games of 2011. I think it's a very fitting way to end the year for us, our last show.
All right.
You want me to start it off?
Whatever you want.
All right. My number 10, I went, and this is you had said this game was the worst game of the year for the first three
That's
quarters.
Your number 10?
My number 10 was Notre Dame versus Michigan.
I tell you what.
Notre Dame versus Michigan, obviously, but we don't have to go over. But there was 3 lead changes in the last minute and 12 seconds.
And it was the worst game for 3 quarters.
But that last quarter was amazing. The last minute and 12 seconds was amazing.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, the reason I didn't do it is because at the end of the day, as far as where it's for like final, where you know what I mean. It was a big game. It was cool. It was week 2.
Shout out to P. Hitter. He called it before you. This is gonna be a classic.
It was. It was one of those games you were gonna remember. If I would have said the game, I have another game from this season ahead of that. As far as most memorable, we had the most memorable.
I
games.
like that. That's a good
10
one.
years from now, I'm gonna remember that game.
Yeah.
My number 9, I got another football. This is NFL. I went with. We talked about how we're always going to remember the Tebow mania.
Yeah.
I went with the Bears game as being, because that's the height of Tebow
That's
mania.
my number 6.
Because everybody's looking at this, looking at when is it going to happen, and it was like you had to watch it. It was a 4:00 game. Everybody's like making dinner, Sunday dinner, whatever. I mean, and you watch it and you say, is he really going to do it again? He does it with the miracle fumble, step out of bounds, blah blah blah. That's my number 9. Number 8, I went with Game 4 of the NBA Finals. And there's a couple games you can go with, but that was the one when Dirk had the 101 fever. He had a terrible game until the fourth quarter. He put up 10 points in the fourth quarter. Then if you remember, you go to Game 5. That was when LeBron and Dwayne Wade were doing the fake coughing. Oh, I'm sick too because they're a bunch of jerks. But like that game was really the game that turned the tide in that series, and to me, it was what won him for him. Number 7, I'm sure Tony's got this on his list. I went with the women's soccer finals.
Yeah. That's your number 1, right?
Honorable mention.
It was as high as I can go.
Second honorable mention.
It was on your list
because they lost.
But I'm saying it's a memorable game. The fact that I wasn't even home. The little we had somebody for our baby shower give us like a photo thing for the baby. So we were up in Shelton getting our photos or whatever, and I was listening to women's soccer in the car on the way home. That'll never happen again in my lifetime. The fact that I'm listening to women's soccer.
I can't believe that happened once.
Yeah, I can't believe it happened either. My wife is going, what are you doing? The baby's crying. I'm listening to women's soccer.
It'll happen in 4 years again. Don't worry.
It'll happen in 4 years with this girl, Hope Solo.
Hope Solo.
Number 6.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this is almost like the Tebow Mania where it was like a stretch of time that I'm going to remember, but culminating with UConn's win over Louisville in the Big East tournament.
I forgot about
that. That run was just unbelievable. It's 5 games in 5 days that they played. Kemba Walker scored all those points. That game came down to the big pass he made to Lamb with like 30 seconds left, if you remember. And to me, that was a much more exciting game, clearly than the national championship game. But even like the time surrounding that, when it came in as the 9th seed. Maybe it's just because we're up here in Connecticut, but it's fantastic. Number 5, I went with the Jets-Pats playoff game. For me, as a Jet fan, it could be me, but after the way they got beat in their second game when they played in the regular season, they got blown out. Nobody was giving them a chance, and the way they came out and won up in New England.
Yeah.
The fact that New England was 14-2 and they knocked them out, one and done for New England. That was my number 5. Number 4. I only went with it because it'll be memorable, is the LSU-Alabama game. They talked about it being like the game of the century, how big it was for a regular season game.
That was another honorable
it was a game where we were at a wedding, and so we're watching it in this bar. So I'll remember that.
The guy missed 4 field goals or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a disgustingly ugly game, 9-6. I mean, it's cool to me. I mean, not being a huge...
you had to watch it for sure.
You have to watch it. So I don't know if it's game of the century and all that, but to me it's my number 4. Number 3, I went with Jeter getting his 3,000th hit that game.
Really?
To me, that game is something I remember for the rest of my life. The way it happened was all like they were, everything. No matter what you're watching ESPN, they would show us at bats. But that game has happened to be, is he going to do it? And not only did he do it, he went 5 for 5 and did it with a home run.
He drove in a winning run.
And that's one of those games that it's like out of the movies. If it had happened in a movie I'm not a huge Derek Jeter, I'm a fan of his, but I'm not like, these guys that say he's an all-time great. But to do it like that, it's just unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So to say that that's not memorable is unbelievable.
All
but
right.
Number 2, I went with World Series Game 6.
Wow. All right.
No?
That's my number 1.
Oh.
I'm saying wow because...
Wow! We're so far off. I got a number 2.
No.
It was just an amazing, amazing game. We don't have to go into that. But my number 1 was, again, I wanted to do moments, but we did games. I went with the Devil Rays or the Tampa Bay Rays getting in.
Oh,
So the last
alright.
game of the season.
I was wondering where you were going.
That-
So I said, wow.
Just that setting of all of the games happening at
Yep.
that time. They're down 7-0. They come all the way
Yep.
back.
It's very good.
Win 8. Wind up winning. But then a couple seconds earlier, the Papelbon had blown that save, hadn't blown a game, and
Yep.
whatever. To me, that was the most amazing sports day of my life. Like
Yep.
that night was one of the coolest nights,
That's a
in
good one.
sports history. So that's my number one. What do
I
you
can
got?
interject in for a second on that. I was at a bar watching all three of those things happen at once. I watched the
Just
Braves
overload.
win,
Yeah.
and then I watched Boston blow it, and then I've never rooted against the Yankees in my life, but just to keep Boston out, I was like, let's go Tampa, and then he hits the home run. Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
15 minutes of my
It was
life.
crazy.
Crazy.
Number 10, I had Auburn, Oregon, going back to New Year, but last year. Wasn't as great a game as we thought. We thought it was going to be super high powered, but it wound up coming down to the last possession.
yeah.
So I like that game a lot. Number 9, I had a basketball game. This always stuck out. Butler Pitt in the second round. I don't know if you remember that game. Pitt was winning. Butler committed some dumb foul. Pitt made some free throws, and then Butler threw an inbounds pass that had no shot of doing anything, and the Pitt guy fouled him.
Yeah.
And Butler just made 2 free throws to win the game.
Yeah,
And Butler ended up
100%. That was of that
I don't know why
tournament.
that game-
That was the game I remember
Yeah.
most of that
That's a good
tournament.
one.
You pick out one game, I'd say it's the most memorable game.
Number 8, I don't care about horse racing. I picked that Preakness where the guy who had won the Derby was Animal Kingdom. He was like 15. He was in dead last by like 15 lengths, and he came and he lost by like a nose. And it was exciting because I don't even care about that stuff. And I was watching it, and I thought, wow, that was a great finish. Like if that race had gone another 100 feet, he would have won.
I don't
number-
remember that at all.
Really?
Horse racing.
Number 7,
I don't want to hear anything about my list from now on.
Number 7, this is number 7. I had Cards Phils game 5, Halliday versus Carpenter. In my mind, no way Phillies lose that game, and Carpenter complete game shutout.
Yeah,
and then
no, it
Ryan
was a great
Howard
game.
blows his leg out at the end. So.
Yep.
Number 6, I had the whole Tebow Broncos, and I had the Jets in there as well. The Jets and the Bears wins. I had those. It was like great moments. Number 5, I did go soccer. I'm gonna get killed for this. I remember at work this happening. The Landon Donovan goal, U.S. versus Algeria, when they had to win to advance, and my whole office, you could tell they were watching it, and they went crazy when he scored. So I remember that. Number
Working
4,
hard.
yeah, stock market. Number 4, I had the Rays. I had that as my number 4. Number 3, I had the Super Bowl. Went down. It wasn't a great game, but it went down to the last.
I thought it
Ben
was very, very
Roethlisberger
good
had the
Super
ball
Bowl.
with 2 minutes to go. You think that's going to be great ending? Wound up, kind of ending, whatever. Number 2, I had Notre Dame, Michigan. Number 1, I had Game 6 of World Series.
Tone, anyone that we missed? You remember?
No, you pretty much wiped my list out except for the Buffalo Patriot game I had. Guys, remember that? Nobody
You
remembers that game?
I actually had that too.
James, what do you got?
I actually misinterpreted, and I did just for the NFL, but
right.
one game in college that I watched live, the Michigan State-Wisconsin Hail Mary game, that was wild.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah,
won it
yeah.
At the end, I thought that was pretty crazy too, but you guys did a pretty good job there.
Yeah,
The
mine
only
was
other
much
one I
better
had
than
was I had Rory McIlroy when he collapsed, and then he came back and won. And that was
That
your
was
boy. I'm
cool.
surprised you didn't have it.
I almost had it. I almost had that as the one when he came back and won
Yeah.
and had that ridiculous round. That's a good top 10. So anything that we missed, obviously hit us up on the Facebook page or on our website. I'm sure we missed some, there's some women's soccer game that Tony wants to put in.
The Game 7 of, well, I guess not Game 7, but the whole Canucks-Bruins series, the fact that they came back and won like that.
We did.
What'd you think about
we're
that?
doing major
That was
sports
pretty
though, right?
Did you?
Oh, I thought.
Were you
I know we
riveted?
did not
Remember
first
that?
racing. It's just
That
like
did actually happen.
Was it
That
Game
wasn't
7? Were you into that Game 7?
Well, that game.
I
7
remember
was nuts.
really being into Game 5.
Game 5 was sick when we had the thing. We had a whole
We had
party.
Santa,
about
the
it.
whole Canuck. Yeah, we had a
We had
Canuck.
we had all
party.
lighted
Absolutely.
grinder and everything.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we got 5 and 10 coming up.
Yeah.
We're the Tri-State Sports guys. We'll be right back.
Trying to give hockey some love here.